Have you ever felt your body asking for a break but ignored it, thinking it was just fatigue? Ever had that sense of low energy, of pleasure not feeling the same, yet carried on as if nothing was wrong? Exactly. Your body has probably already told you that you crossed the line, only your penis hasn't understood it yet. The problem is, when the body speaks and a man doesn't listen, potency is what pays the price. After a certain point, excess stimulation, sexual, mental, or physical, starts stealing energy instead of generating pleasure. Modern men live in a constant state of acceleration, and sex, which should be a balancing valve, turns into yet another energy expense. Every ejaculation demands an intense hormonal response: dopamine, testosterone, prolactin, adrenaline. When this cycle happens too often, the hormonal system goes into fatigue. And the result is what many call performance drop, but is actually biological burnout. The body tries to warn you: energy drops, sleep worsens, mood swings. But men keep forcing the pace, believing it's a lack of will or of stimulus. That's exactly when the problem begins, because the penis is the last to feel it. Before the erection weakens, the brain, heart, and glands are already calling for help. Too much pleasure is like any other excess: first it feels good, then it charges a high price. The human body was made to alternate periods of stimulation and recovery. When recovery is ignored, pleasure turns into a drain. And that drain robs vitality, motivation, and potency. Men who ejaculate very frequently or live in constant stimulation, especially after their 30s or 40s, are burning vital energy without noticing. Dopamine plummets, testosterone doesn't have time to replenish, and the brain loses sensitivity to pleasure. The body starts operating in defense mode, reducing desire and erection strength as a protection mechanism. These signs are warnings, not punishments. Your body isn't punishing you, it's trying to rebalance you. And when you learn to recognize these signs, you discover the secret to potency isn't doing more, but knowing when to stop. I'm Emily Collins, a urologist, and today I am going to show you the 3 clearest signs you overdoing frequency and what your body is trying to tell you. But before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Because here I talk about men's sexual health with scientific grounding, without taboos, and in plain language. And tell me in the comments, do you think you're overdoing frequency, or do you feel your body can still keep up the pace? When a man goes past the limit, the body enters a state of silent burnout. It doesn't shut down overnight, but it starts losing performance in everything: energy, concentration, desire, and sexual response. That happens because with each ejaculation, the body triggers a complex hormonal cascade, and when this process repeats excessively, the body simply can't rebalance itself. During pleasure, the brain releases dopamine, the motivation and reward hormone. Right after, prolactin steps in to close the arousal cycle and force the body to rest. This balance is natural and healthy. But when stimulation happens every day, or several times a day, the brain starts living in a vicious loop: dopamine high, then low, quick pleasure, then apathy. That constant swing drains mental energy. Beyond the brain, the hormonal system also suffers. Testosterone, the main fuel of male vigor, drops temporarily after ejaculation. The body needs about 48 to 72 hours to restore natural levels. When a man doesn't respect this interval, testosterone remains chronically low. The result is less strength, less drive, and weaker erections. The nervous system also gets overloaded. With every climax, there's an intense electrical discharge through the spinal cord and pelvic nerves. This charges the entire body, but if repeated excessively, it causes neurological fatigue, that slow mind/heavy body feeling right after pleasure. And there's more: ejaculation consumes essential micronutrients like zinc, selenium, magnesium, and vitamin D, all crucial for hormonal balance and sperm production. When the body ejaculates excessively, it spends more than it can replenish. That shows up not only in desire, but also in immunity, mood, and even physical performance. This burnout isn't immediate. It accumulates, disguises itself as everyday tiredness, until one day a man realizes pleasure isn't as intense, erection takes longer, the body doesn't respond like it used to. Your body isn't failing, it's defending itself. It slows the pace to protect you from yourself. And the first sign of this collapse is constant fatigue, the kind of tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, because it comes from within. That's exactly what I want to explain now. The first sign: overdoing frequency, persistent fatigue and loss of motivation. Fatigue is the body's first scream. It's the most ignored and yet the most important sign. Because the tiredness that comes from excess pleasure isn't the same as a long workday. It's a silent exhaustion that begins in the nervous system and spreads through the whole body. You wake up with no energy, lose focus, feel your mood swing, and still insist on keeping the same pace, thinking it's just poor sleep or low vitamins. What's missing is a pause. Dopamine, your motivation fuel, gets depleted when pleasure repeats in excess. Every pleasure dump consumes part of that mental energy, and if the body doesn't have time to recover, the brain begins to operate in economy mode. You stop feeling drive, lose interest in simple things, and start living in apathy. You feel desire, but lack the disposition to act, and that's the first sign your dopaminergic system is overloaded. Testosterone also suffers. This hormone is produced in natural daily peaks, but each ejaculation temporarily reduces its levels. When you ejaculate too frequently, your body never stabilizes. The result is a continuous mild hormonal dip, enough to reduce energy, drive, and libido. It's like the tank is always on reserve. This fatigue shows up in many ways: difficulty waking up, lack of enthusiasm, post-pleasure drowsiness, low morale with simple tasks, and a heavy mind sensation. Sexual energy, which should invigorate, starts missing because you're burning fuel faster than your body can make it. Worse, this exhaustion doesn't show up on lab tests. It hides in behavior: poor focus, low drive, and a gradual decrease in potency. Many men mistake this for aging, when it's really neurohormonal burnout. This is the first sign you're recrossing the line, when pleasure leaves you tired instead of energized. Your body is asking for time. Ignore that request, and the second sign soon appears, the most visible and worrying: erections start weakening, and pleasure loses force. An erection is the most faithful thermometer of a man's health. It reveals what's happening inside long before any exam. When potency starts to vary, when the penis takes longer to respond or loses firmness easily, it's not bad luck or age catching up. It's your body saying, "I'm tired." The second sign you're overdoing frequency is exactly that: a gradual loss of sensitivity and erection strength. It happens because the penis depends directly on nerve energy, blood flow, and hormonal balance. Excess stimulation, especially with very frequent ejaculations, wears down all three systems at once. During arousal, the brain sends an electrical discharge through the spinal cord and pelvic nerves. That relaxes blood vessels and allows blood into the penile corpora cavernosa. The problem is, when this circuit is activated too often, nerves enter a state of fatigue. They become less responsive and need increasingly stronger stimuli to produce the same effect. At the same time, local circulation starts to suffer. Excess stimulation and lack of recovery leave the pelvic region congested, blood enters but doesn't flow as efficiently. The result is an erection that appears but loses firmness quickly, or won't hold. Testosterone, essential for desire and erection quality, also dips. When hormone levels are low, the body struggles to sustain sexual drive. You feel desire, but the body doesn't respond the same way. That breeds frustration that, over time, turns into performance anxiety, the erection's silent enemy. Another factor is reduced penile sensitivity. Excess friction, especially with frequent, solitary stimulation, can blunt nerve receptor response. The penis starts reacting less to touch and needs more intensity to feel pleasure. This desensitization is one of the main signs you've gone past the point. Your body isn't failing, it's protecting itself. It's trying to preserve energy, reduce stimulus, and restore balance. It's a biological reaction, not a defect. Understand that, and you'll see your potency isn't lost, it just needs to be restored. That's where the third sign comes in, the subtlest but most dangerous, when pleasure starts losing meaning and your mind feels disconnected from your body. Pleasure is one of the most powerful forces in the human body, and also one of the most fragile. It depends on a delicate balance between mind and body, chemistry and emotion. When that balance breaks, pleasure loses color, intensity, and purpose. The body reacts, but the mind seems switched off. You feel the physical stimulus, but not the satisfaction you used to. That's where pleasure stops nourishing and starts draining. The third sign you've crossed the line is the loss of pleasure intensity and the disconnect between body and mind. It happens because the brain, saturated with repeated dopamine hits, starts reducing its sensitivity. The same touch, same stimulus, same act that once brought pleasure now needs more force, more frequency, or more time to produce the same effect. Pleasure becomes predictable, automatic, almost mechanical. This process is called dopaminergic desensitization, and it's the same mechanism seen in addictions. The brain tries to protect itself from overload by reducing the receptors that respond to pleasure. The result is a dangerous cycle. The more you chase pleasure, the less you feel it. At this point, the body responds with emotional signs. After climax comes emptiness. The feel-good afterglow is replaced by apathy, irritability, or even guilt. With insufficient dopamine, the brain drops into a brief low mood. Repeat that many times a week and this slump becomes the new normal. You start living with no motivation, no spark, no curiosity. Another common effect is difficulty connecting emotionally. Frequent, mindless masturbation conditions the brain to associate pleasure only with quick, solitary stimulus. That creates a disconnect from real pleasure, which involves presence, touch, and bonding. You may feel pleasure in the act, but not in the moment, and that difference is what destroys true pleasure. Pleasure should be a recharge point, not a symptom of burnout. When it stops bringing energy and starts causing fatigue or emptiness, your body is begging for balance. The good news is that balance can be restored. Body and brain have a remarkable capacity to regenerate if you know how to allow it. That's exactly what I want to show now: how to regain balance, reset your rhythm, and restore natural pleasure without losing potency. Regaining balance isn't about stopping pleasure, it's about relearning to feel it the right way. The male body was made to live pleasure as a source of energy, not as an escape. When you understand your natural rhythm, pleasure becomes more intense, erections firmer, and your mind clearer. It all begins when you stop forcing and start respecting biological recovery time. First step: reduce frequency and observe your body. Space out ejaculations, 2, 3, even 4 days. That's enough time for the brain to restore dopamine levels and for the body to rebuild testosterone and nutrients. Many men are surprised to find that, by spacing pleasure, desire returns stronger and erections respond better. Second step: feed your body what it deserves. Semen is rich in minerals like zinc, selenium, and magnesium, and your body needs them to make hormones and energy. A diet rich in eggs, fish, nuts, dark leafy vegetables, and quality fats helps stabilize the hormonal system. Give your body the right resources and it naturally produces vigor. Third step: sleep better. It sounds simple, but deep sleep is when testosterone is made. Sleeping too little is like shutting down the vigor factory. When sleep is steady, the body repairs and the mind returns to a balanced response to pleasure. Fourth step: move your body. Strength training, plus light running or functional training, boosts testosterone and improves penile circulation. Movement is the foundation of vitality. A still body is a body that stockpiles fatigue. Fifth step: reprogram pleasure. Reduce porn use, avoid artificial stimuli, and get back to feeling pleasure through touch, scent, gaze, and real presence. When you reconnect to natural pleasure, the brain relearns to produce dopamine healthily, and pleasure stops being a quick discharge to become a complete experience. Balance isn't abstinence, it's awareness. When pleasure aligns with your body's rhythm, it stops draining and starts fueling you. Now let me close with the power of a man who learns to listen to his own body, because those who understand the signs never lose potency. Your body speaks all the time. It warns, it whispers, it tries to negotiate with you before it screams. The problem is most men learn to ignore it. They learn to force the limit, to treat fatigue as weakness and pleasure as an escape valve. But the body isn't a machine, it's a system. And every system used without pause begins to fail. The truly potent man isn't the one who pursues constant pleasure, but the one who understands his own rhythm. He notices when the body is asking for a break, respects the timing of mind and recovery. When body and brain work together, pleasure becomes natural again. Erections are firm again. Desire, steady. Mind, clear. It's balance that creates potency, not excess. Fatigue, weakened erections, short-lived pleasure, none of that is a punishment. They're signs. And when you learn to listen, your body responds quickly. Just a few weeks of pausing, better sleep, quality nutrition, and conscious pleasure can transform your body. Dopamine renews, testosterone rises again, vigor returns. Pleasure grows deeper and longer lasting, and you feel in charge again. I'm Emily Collins, a urologist, and I see this every day. Men arrive exhausted, convinced they're too old, then discover the issue wasn't age, it was imbalance. The male body has an incredible ability to regenerate, as long as you stop fighting it. The secret is simple: listen to your body. It tells you when you've crossed the line, and if you honor that signal, you never lose potency. Pleasure isn't the villain, excess is. The body you have today is the result of the rhythm you impose on it. Learn to listen, and you'll realize there's still plenty of energy inside, just waiting to be used the right way. If you've made it this far, congratulations, it shows you care about your sexual health and truly want to understand your body. Now, subscribe to the channel, because here I talk about men's sexual health with scientific grounding, no taboos, and in direct language. Leave your like if this video made you reflect and comment below. I listen to my body. And for those who stayed until the end, the next video is already on the screen. There I explain how to balance pleasure and the ideal frequency to keep your potency and energy high. Click and keep going with me, because understanding your body is the first step to mastering your energy.